Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, and joining me now is Jahmar the Rockstar Whitehead. Jahmar, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me back.
The pleasure's all mine. So we actually got you in studio. We're doing this in person, man. This is a first for Half the Battle. I mean, normally when I do it in studio, it's just with my co-host Shaq, but now we got Georgia's finest, the future and former bantamweight champion, Jahmar Whitehead. So it's good to have you back on the show, man.
Good to be back, man.
So, dude, I heard that your next fight just got scheduled. I heard someone's been calling you out. This guy named Damien Gaskin. He put up a little video with him weighing in about, over 10 pounds over your weight limit. But he's saying he's making progress. He can make 135 by the time NFC 99 rolls around. How do you feel about this potential matchup with Damien Gaskins?
I mean, honestly, I'm really happy that he finally took the fight,
When you say finally took the fight, was there a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about?
What I mean by that is just that I couldn't find a fight for a very long time, and I really wanted to fight on NFC 99 just so I can beat up Josh at NFC 100. I'm glad that Damien Gaskin steps up to the plate and is down to take an L so that I can advance my career.
It's a really interesting situation you got going on here because your biggest rival on paper, Josh Mary, this is a guy that went out there. He handed your brother Damien his first ever defeat. You guys have been talking a lot of shit for the past couple months, and now you get the opportunity to fight him, but he will only fight you under advanced amateur rules, which means, the shin guards come off, you can hit each other in the face on the mat. However, the Georgia State Athletic Commission says you can only fight advanced amateur with 3 fights under your belt. And you got more than 3 fights. We all know that, but they're playing a little game with you since you are 18 years old. That's why you have to take this fight with Damien Gaskins at NFC 99 before you get to fight Mayer. Tell me about your thoughts on the whole, this whole stipulation. And, do you feel extra pressure having to take a fight before the big rivalry?
I'm just a little annoyed, It's like, what's the next excuse going to be? First off, it was, we're going to wait until NFC 100. Now it's, you have to fight me advanced amateur rules. What's going to be the next excuse after I beat down Gaskin?
And when you watch the tape on Gaskin, what part of the game do you think you're going to beat him in?
I mean, he's terrible. He's the Marcus Brimage of the NFC. He's there for you to win. That's it. That's his only purpose, and I'm glad that they're giving me the opportunity.
So NFC 99, you get that chance. You get to go out there and potentially get a win over Damien Gaskins, and then, like we said, your biggest rival, Josh Mayer, at NFC 100. Tell us about this rivalry with Josh Mayer.
He's not tough at all, man. He's frail. He has a frail body. I'll snap him in half with a kick, guaranteed. If he wants to stay on the feet, I'll box him up all day. If he goes to the ground, I'll submit him. No matter where it goes, I know I'm better than Josh. So he picked his poison. The shin guards come off now. It's pretty much going to be a pro fight. It's not going to go well for him, guaranteed.
Tell us about the origin of the rivalry.
Well, he sucker punched his way to a victory against my brother. My brother was throwing him around for 3 rounds, nonstop. Just slamming him every time Josh tried to throw up a pitiful armbar, reversing all the takedowns, maintaining the top position. It was just a domination fight. Josh comes out in the 3rd round and acts like he's going to touch my brother's glove. My brother goes out to touch his glove, and he sucker punches him and then follows up with a barrage of strikes. As soon as it goes to the ground, he got him with a very lucky armbar. Had it not been my brother's very first MMA fight and Josh's 6th, my brother wouldn't have gotten such a big adrenaline dump, and he probably would have slammed him again. Or he would have just broke out. Josh really just got lucky in that fight. He wants to tell everyone that he beat up my brother and he wants to dominate another Whitehead. Show me where you dominated. I could show you pictures and video of my brother literally slamming you from the mat, taking you from the cage and slamming you down. I have pictures of him on top of you in mount. What's going to be different this time? Now it's advanced amateur. Now we can punch you in the face. You're just screwing yourself over, really, at the end of the day. But you picked your poison, so.
Now, tell me about how you're able to put, the heat, the animosity on the back burner and just go out there and do your thing. Because, look, you went 7-1 as a junior amateur. You're 2-0 as an amateur. And in the 2 fights you've had as an AMI, you had You had a grudge match with Andrew Geigerich. This is a guy that went 54-0 as a wrestler. You knocked him out in 11 seconds, but then you had mutual respect with your most recent opponent, Kyle Craton, and you 30-27 him. So tell me how you're able to kind of put that animosity on the back burner and just go out there and perform.
There was no animosity or anything. It wasn't anything personal between me and Andrew at the end of the day, really. I just knew I saw an opportunity where he was very mentally weak, and I chose to attack on it. It works on some people. It doesn't work on others. Works on most people. Andrew fell right into everything I was saying. He wanted to go in there and try to take my head off, and fell right into my left kick, you know?
You know, it's so interesting because, like we mentioned, we preface this by saying this is a guy that went 54-0 in wrestling. One does not simply go 54-0 in wrestling, but then he goes out there and he's trying to spin on you. He's trying to throw big haymakers. You know, he kind of went away from his game plan. Is that what you tried to do with all the trash talk?
Of course, he went mad out there. He went mad. He tried to take my head off immediately. But you don't do that against someone that's a brown Muay Thai fighter. Come on. You don't do that against somebody that has a whole bunch of Taekwondo experience. Why would you do that? You're a wrestler going in there against really a striker, and you're going to rush him? I mean, a counter striker on top of that, you're going to rush them? I mean, everything I did fell right into plan. Nothing was really different with Kyle Craton. At the end of the day, it's a fight that we're in here for, you know? You can't, in my opinion, you can't just be so respectful to your opponent. He's trying to take your head off, you're trying to take their head off. If you saw me in the cage against Kyle Craton, I was talking to him the entire time when he was on the ground struggling to get up. As he was bridging, I was like, where do you think you're going? You're going to stay right on the mat, right where you belong. Everything I did in that fight, I talked to him the entire way through. It's all a mind game pretty much. It's all strategy.
Now, you train under the legendary Coach Brown, or as they like to refer to, Captain Brown. You know, this is a guy that coached Rick Rufus when he went out there and defeated Rob Kaman in the rematch. This is the guy that also coached Duke Rufus, you know. He has 17 world champions, Buster Douglas, and you get to have him as your head coach. I mean, what's it like training with such a legend of the sport like Coach Brown?
Honestly, it feels really good to be trained by such a legend. You know, I've been under his wing since I was 13, you know. I am Brown Muay Thai if you really think about it. You know, I'm 18 now, 5 years. My style is literally him. We block everything, we hit, don't get hit. That's what's going to make me last so long in the sport too, having his style as my base.
You know what I love about Coach Brown? There's many things, obviously, you know, the pairing game, just his approach, his mindset. But it's interesting because there's a lot of naysayers. When people don't train with Coach Brown, they might say things such as Brown Muay Thai doesn't work in MMA. But then you see a guy like Showtime Pettis. Then you see a guy like Robbie Lawler. Now, I know Robbie Lawler never formally trained under Coach Brown, but he does have that similar pairing style, that hand fighting. That's what he brings to the table. And Anthony Showtime Pettis, obviously a disciple under Duke Rufus, who was taught directly by Captain Brown. I mean, that's what we're dealing with here, Jahmar.
If you look at my 2 MMA fights that I have and combine all the times I've gotten hit, I got hit maybe twice tops. And both of those hits were coming from the Craton fight. Obviously, Geigerich didn't lay a finger on me. But 2 times in 2 fights, that's what I'm talking about. If you look at how many times I was able to hit them, or at least with significant strikes, compared to the significant strikes they landed on me, it's none that they've landed on me. And mine are through the roof.
So Brown Muay Thai till the day you die?
Absolutely.
What's more satisfying for you, going out there and ending a grudge match via 11-second head kick knockout, or getting to show that, look, I can go the full 3-round distance, I can 30-27, a super tough guy, mix in the takedowns, show all aspects of my game?
I definitely would like to show all aspects of my game. An 11-second knockout's great, but if you're having a full fight camp for 11 seconds, that's kind of disappointing in a way, you know? For my first MMA fight, I really feel like Kyle Craton was my first MMA fight, and Andrew was just another green on my record, you know? Very simple. I went in there, I threw a kick, and that was it.
Now, how do you respond to the criticism that, you know, you're too cocky, your head's too big? Because, you know, it's interesting because coming up, I heard the exact same things about Johnny Bones Jones, Conor McGregor, Anderson Silva, that, they're too arrogant, they're too cocky, Roy Jones Jr., but at the end of the day, they're doing unbelievable things and they're achieving greatness.
It makes me laugh, all these people telling me, oh, you need to humble yourself, you need to be, you just need to stop being so cocky or whatever. I'm like, I'm 18 years old, 9-1. I have an 11-second knockout, one of the fastest in Georgia. I'm dominating my fights. I'm looking good out there. What else do you want from me? I'm marketing myself well. You can tell me to be humble all you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to go watch me fight, guaranteed. You want to see me get knocked out or you want to see me succeed, but you're going to see me fight. So,
and that's such a good point because you hear about these guys and, they're super respectful. Not saying that being respectful is a bad thing because it's not. This is martial arts. You're supposed to be respectful. But you hear about these guys and no one wants to see them fight. No one gives a shit. With you, people either want to see you win or they want to see you lose. But regardless, they want to see you. And that's all that matters.
That's what I love about this. I love hearing the cheers. I even, honestly, I don't mind the boos either. It makes it more interesting. It shows that there's a little bit more. There's some diversity in the fight, It's not everybody going for you. It's not everyone going for your opponent. There's people in there that are going for you, people in there going for him, people in there that don't know who you are, and people and potential fans if you put on a performance,
Listen, you're 9-1. You've made the walk 10 times to the NFC cage. I mean, what's it like being 18 years old making that walk?
At this point, it's like another day in the office, Every time someone sees me on the fight card, just know the venue belongs to me while I'm walking out there. When I'm fighting, the entire venue belongs to me. Everyone, all eyes are on me. I'm putting on a show. Everyone knows that. So it's like I said, it's just another day in the office at this point.
So it's interesting because we talked about your upcoming opponent, Damien Gaskin. We talked about the follow-up opponent and Josh Mayer. Now, there's two other guys that have been saying your name. One guy that comes to mind is Calston De Jesus. I know you guys have a little beef that goes way back. Can you kind of tell us the origin of that?
I was originally supposed to fight Calston at NFC 95 or 96. And I'm sorry, NFC 95. I was really looking forward to making my NFC debut. I had to wait until NFC 96, which isn't that big of a deal. But to me at the time, of course, it was. I was training really, really hard, and then I get a message from Jesse, maybe 10 days. Jesse, the matchmaker, 10 days before the fight, pretty much, saying, oh, Calston hurt his rib. He's out of the fight. I told him, Jesse, you mean to tell me he backed out of the fight over his rib tickling? I'm here to fight. I have injuries going into the fight too. But at the end of the day, this is a fist fight. If you get into a fight in the streets, you can't go to the person, oh, sorry, I don't want to fight you. My rib hurts. Oh, I don't want to fight you. I have a headache. No, you're fighting.
It's kind of interesting because with your style, you do have that Taekwondo style. And, as a betting man, if you're looking to bet on fights, you can't always rely on someone to go out there and get that knockout. You need a stable of guys that, if you're going to the judges' scorecards, you know for a fact that you're going to win the decision, and you possess those qualities, but you also have a bit of a street fighting background. So when you got into those street fights, were you point fighting these motherfuckers, or are you just dropping them? What was the deal?
I would definitely say the Taekwondo played a big part of all my fights, street fights, anything, You see my movement. Nothing's changed. I still move around. I've been moving like this since I was 4 years old. That's not going to change.
And one other guy that I know you have a history with, and that's June Kim. And, it's funny. Right as you're going to make your MMA debut, he calls you out for a kickboxing match. You think that was a well-timed, call out that he did? Or
he was looking for a chance to beat the poster boy, he says. But in my view, and on a lot of people's view, he was looking for the perfect opportunity to call me out when he knew I was looking for an MMA fight, like you said. So, really, he played scared, in my opinion. He doesn't really want to fight. If he wanted to fight, honestly, if these fights don't work out, if Gaskin somehow backs out and Mayer still doesn't want to fight me, which probably won't change, then NFC 100, NFC 99, tomorrow in the gym or tonight in the cage, it doesn't matter. I'll knock you out. You pick the method. I'll pick the round.
Do you have a message for the NFC community, for all the bantamweights out there? Because look, I heard the champ vacated his belt, Zach Wolf. This is a guy that he's got a lot of good wins under his record. I thought a matchup between you and him would have been, a high ticket seller, not to mention a very competitive fight as well. But the belt's vacant. I mean, tell me your message for the NFC community and the whole bantamweight division.
If I don't have the belt, if none of my teammates doesn't have the belt, if my brother doesn't have the belt, then guess what? I'm coming. Anybody that's in my division that's not a teammate of mine or is not my brother or family to me, we're fighting.
So when you visualize your career, look, you're only 18 years old, but you're already 9-1. That's so much experience for such a young age. When you visualize it and you really think about it, when will you make that UFC debut?
Told you before, I'll tell you again. I'm going to be in the UFC by the time I'm 24.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, dude, you're giving yourself a little wiggle room, though. That's 6 years from now. You don't think you could do it sooner?
I want to build my experience a little bit, No rush on it. I'm still young. Like you said, I'm 18 years old. Why rush it? You see Sage Northcutt going in here, and he's getting thrown around. Why? He doesn't have grown man strength. He looks like he does, but it's on a whole nother level. Grown man strength is a whole nother thing. Let my body develop a little bit, get even stronger than I am, because I'm already out-muscling most of these grown men in my division. Imagine when I get a little bit stronger. No one's going to be able to stop me.
And I think that's such a good point because with your style, you don't take a lot of damage. One of my objections to someone having, a prolonged amateur career is, you don't want to leave your durability, in your amateur career. You got to save some for your pro fights. But like we said, you have a style that you hit and don't get hit. So you feel like that's going to kind of let you, develop yourself. And when you are ready, you will make that UFC debut?
Absolutely. That's another thing a lot of people don't realize. I've been practicing this style for years, This is my style. You don't see many fighters like me, It's the taekwondo in me why I always have my hands down and stuff. That makes a lot of times that's a bait. A lot of people want to tell me, "Oh, keep your hands up," Why? Why? Who's to say having my hands down won't work? And when they say it won't work, I'm like, have you seen Stephen Thompson? Have you seen Conor McGregor? They have their hands down a lot of times. Anderson Silva literally had his hands down the entire time against Forrest Griffin and knocked him out with a jab. But I can't have my hands down? People usually just say, "Oh, but you're not Anderson Silva. You're not Conor McGregor. You're not John Jones. You're not any of these people." You're right. I'm Jahmar Whitehead.
So we've been talking a lot about your taekwondo background, and it's easy to talk about that and ignore that you also have wrestling in your back pocket because you go in there against a guy in Kyle Craton. He's coming off a first-round knockout. He's huge for the weight class, and you're point fighting him a little bit, and then he says, "You know what? Fuck it. I need to go out there, throw some big bombs." He starts to cut you off a little bit. He wants to throw a big bomb. He's getting frustrated. You ducked under. Beautiful entry. Took him down with a blast double. That was a part of your game that many people didn't know you had in the back pocket. So do you feel like, from here on out in all your fights, we're going to be seeing new elements that we haven't seen before from you?
Daniel, I get better every fight. You haven't seen nothing yet, honestly. This is just the tip of the iceberg,
Yeah, no, absolutely. But to see you go out there and grind guys out, that is impressive. What do you enjoy more? Do you like that element of surprise to duck under and get that big blast double, or is there nothing like that head kick landing, shin on chin?
Oh, there's nothing like head kick landings, man. That feels there's something therapeutic about it almost. It's amazing.
Well, listen, Jahmar, before I let you go, man, I can't let you go without a couple fight picks, man. I mean, come on. This is half the battle. So, the money fight, Mayweather-McGregor. Now, I know as fans, we want McGregor to win, but he's going to another sport. Now, in this other sport, he can still throw his left hand, but it is another sport. And not only is he going to boxing, he's fighting the best boxer of all time, 49-0, Floyd Money Mayweather. You think that McGregor can go out there and get the biggest upset in sports history?
Daniel, I'm not going to lie, man. I really didn't believe McGregor had any chance at all until the other day I sparred a pure boxer. And I was able to outbox him pretty clearly just from my movement. He kept on telling me after we sparred, "Man, your footwork's on another level. I don't know what to do." It's the MMA. There's nothing else. It's MMA. It's Muay Thai. I feel like if you train something besides boxing and then go to boxing where you're focusing on your hands, you don't have an advantage with the actual hands aspect, but with the footwork, I feel like there's somewhat of an advantage. Cutting the ring off, something. There, you have an advantage. like I said, I was able to do really, really well. Honestly, pick apart the boxer a little bit. So I got to give McGregor a chance. Honestly, if he can finish Mayweather within the first 4 rounds, then he's got it.
But man, you think if it goes to deep water that Mayweather's just going to pick him apart? Because we have seen in the past that McGregor does have, I don't want to say he's got cardio issues because MMA is such a different sport than boxing. When you got all those clinch exchanges, when you got, you're dealing with dudes trying to take you down, the head kicks, everything. It's a different toll. Plus the 5-minute rounds. It's different on the body than a 3-minute 3-minute rounds in boxing. However, he's not used to competing in pro boxing. That's what's so interesting about it.
It's a different grind, Even Muay Thai and MMA is a different grind. I feel it in the cage, when they're pushing against you in the cage, and you have to try to get them off and all that. That's tiring, So McGregor, yeah, people say he has cardio issues, but does he really? Personally, I don't really think he'll have cardio issues going into this match. You have to realize he's still a pretty big athlete, He works hard, of course, as Mayweather does as well. You also have to realize they fought when McGregor fought Nate Diaz, he fought him and they had 5-minute rounds. This is what, 2-minute rounds? 3-minute rounds, I'm sorry. It's completely different.
But you also can't kick him, you can't take him down. He has to only throw his hands.
That is true.
Now let me ask you this, because look, there are ways to make it a dirty fight. I know you saw the first Marcos Maidana versus Floyd Mayweather fight, and Marcos was able to kind of use some MMA techniques there. I was like, man, this dude's got a nice tie clinch, you know what I'm saying? And it would almost look like he was shooting for takedowns, and he would just do little rough things to kind of rough Mayweather up and make him think about it. Do you think McGregor can at all bend the rules to his advantage, maybe lose a point or two in the process to eventually get the outcome he desires?
There's people that come here to win a boxing match. There's people that come here to win an MMA match. And then there's people that come here to fight. McGregor comes to fight. If McGregor connects, McGregor's going to do whatever it takes to win. We all know how competitive he is as well. If McGregor connects on Mayweather's chin, he's going to put him out.
That would be incredible. There's a reason Mayweather is such a big favorite, but just as a sporting fan, if we were to see that upset, and it's a huge if, how amazing of a moment would that be?
That would be an amazing thing for MMA. I feel like that would be the downfall of boxing. I feel like
I hope not, because I enjoy boxing. I want to see GGG versus Canelo. I like Danny Garcia. I like Keith Thurman. I like all these guys. Sean Showtime Porter. But the thing is, man, you're going into another man's sport, and you have to respect the best of all time, Floyd Mayweather. But there's something about these guys with that super self-belief, that crazy confidence that McGregor brings to the table. And it's almost like they visualize things, and it manifests itself into a reality. And it's unbelievable how he's able to do that. There's some other guys on the roster that possess those qualities. John Bones Jones, he was visualizing from a very young age. So if McGregor can do it, much respect. And much respect regardless. Motherfucker's getting $100 million just to step inside a boxing ring, If I can tip-top-toe for $100 million, who wouldn't take it, right? Now, I got to ask you your opinion on this one. This is close to your weight class. A lot of people are saying that Demetrious Johnson might be the best fighter of all time. Now, I personally disagree. However, I do think he is great regardless. Now, he wants to beat Anderson Silva's record of 10 title defenses. He's taking on Ray Borg, who, Ray Borg's one of these guys that he rises to the occasion. He's very tough in the scrambles. And what's interesting about fighting DJ is that when you fight the champ, Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson, everyone's showing up the best version of themselves, So Demetrious has to also show up as the best version of himself. And this is MMA. No one's invincible. Can this finally be the time where Demetrious takes an L, or do you think his dominance will continue?
Ray Borg's no slouch, man. He definitely has the ability to take out Demetrious Johnson. Is it probable? No, but definitely possible. Ray Borg possesses a lot of stuff that will put Demetrious Johnson out, honestly.
That scrambling ability, that's what really stands out to me. And then you watch his one L. Well, he's got 2 L's, but one was the split decision that we thought he won. But the real L against Justin Scoggins. Justin Scoggins is a 5'9" flyweight, and on his best day, he could be the best guy in that division. What stopped Justin Scoggins hasn't been a physical issue. It's been a mental issue. You know what I mean? He'll be dominating guys, and all of a sudden he'll dive headfirst into a guillotine. So, he had his best performance ever against Ray Borg, but Demetrius Johnson isn't a 5'9" karate guy. That's why I think this is so intriguing, man. And another thing I want to add, you remember the first round of Tim Elliott versus DJ too. Tim Elliott got the better of the grappling exchanges only in the first. He gassed out after that. So I'm curious if Ray Borg can capitalize on a sloppy shot or something and take the back. I don't know. Look, we're talking about a plus 750 underdog. I'm reaching to try to give him a chance, but I just don't think he should be counted out.
Like I said, it's possible, not probable, but I would say Ray Borg has a chance.
Now, this one is really interesting, and I didn't expect this. This came out of the blue. Bisping is coming back to defend his title, but it's not against the interim champ, Robert Whitaker. It's actually against the former welterweight champ, George St. Pierre. He's coming off a 3.5-year retirement to take on the middleweight champ. What do you think about him moving up in weight class? And also, what do you think about him being favored over the current champ, Michael Bisping?
I think this fight's completely stupid. If you're the interim champion, you should be fighting the champion next as soon as the champion's better. But since the UFC's crazy now, if the best version of GSP shows up, the GSP that beat John Fitch, the GSP that beat Dan Hardy, if that GSP shows up, he has a very high possibility of beating Michael Bisping. The thing that Michael Bisping has over GSP, though, is that he's been a little bit more active. Yes, he's coming off an injury, but he's still stayed more active than GSP. Also, GSP on his last few fights has looked pretty bad, honestly. He fought Johnny Hendricks, and Nick Diaz, Carlos Condit. At all those fights, in my opinion, he was at a point he was threatened.
Yeah, I mean, compared to his past fights, let's just put it like this. He took more punishment in those 3 fights than he had, his last 10 fights before that, So it was kind of interesting. And he retired for a reason, the concussions, the PEDs in the sport, a bunch of things, which is kind of an interesting thing coming from him. This is one of those situations where I feel like he thinks Bisping is an easy fight. That's why he's taken him over the champ in his former weight class, Tyron Woodley. Like, doesn't it make sense that he wants to fight Bisping more than Woodley because he thinks he's got a better chance of beating him?
Hey, not only does he have a better chance of beating him, two weight classes is a lot better than one, So yeah. GSP might be the third one actually, the third person to have 2 belts.
4th, because Randy Couture, BJ Penn, Conor McGregor. But only one person's done it simultaneously, and that's Conor McGregor. BJ Penn and Randy Couture, they held 2 belts as well. But, man, if GSP can do that, especially coming off a fucking 3.5-year layoff, that would just be insane, dude. But let's assume that Bisping wins the fight, right? So Bisping's got to welcome back Robert Whitaker into the octagon, and they would unify the title. Who do you think would get the edge in that one?
Whitaker all day.
How do you see it going now? Because they're both strikers. They're going to stand and bang till one guy falls.
Whitaker's going to pick him apart. He has a karate background somewhat, so he's going to throw a lot of side kicks, crescent kicks. Michael Bisping wouldn't know what to do with that. He's just going to know jab, cross, hook, uppercut. You can't do that if you got a side kick in your gut.
You feel like Whitaker would kick him, 5 rounds straight, or do you think eventually he'd go in there with that leaping left hook and put him down?
I think he'd actually put him down eventually. We already know Bisping has one bad eye.
It's interesting. I actually read a stat on Bisping. Did you know that he's been dropped 10 times in his UFC career? I didn't know that.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Crazy, right?
I know one was Dan Henderson.
3 of those was
3
Dan
of them,
Henderson. Yeah, man. But listen, Jahmar, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in the studio. Any last message for the NFC community? Anything you want to tell these guys? You got Damien Gaskins on the docket at NFC 99. Then you got Josh Mayer at NFC 100. I mean, any last words for these guys?
Damien, thank you for letting me go 3-0. Josh Mayer, I can't wait to fight you. I mean, if you even take the fight, I'm interested in your next excuse. Anybody else that isn't my teammate or training partner or my brother, I suggest you stay out of my division. If not, we're going to fight. I'm going to knock you out or I'm going to submit you. So, there it is.
Well, Jahmar, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now on Half the Battle. Let the fans know where they can follow you on social media and any message for them. Go ahead.
You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at ASVP__FUEGO. You guys can also follow my athlete page on Facebook at Jahmar Whitehead, Jahmar Whitehead, exactly how it sounds. Snapchat, Jahmar617, Jahmar617. Add me on Snapchat, follow my story.
Hey, tell them where they can buy that badass walkout shirt you got.
JustHeartApparel.com. The shirts are $20. They are pretty nice, aren't they?
Yeah, you got to represent. They're nice as hell. Now, all the fans, make sure you follow me on Twitter at BestFightPicks. Go to bestfightpicks.com for the plays. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Shaq and I will be back later next week to speak about the money fight, Mayweather-McGregor. We may even have a special guest joining us. It's in the works as we speak. And anything else you want to tell the fans, Jahmar?
Yeah, thank you to everyone for all the support. You know, it really means a lot. You guys keep picking the method. I'll keep picking the rounds. And let's keep getting these victories.
Jahmar, thanks again for the time. All the fans, thank you guys so much for the support of Half the Battle right now, in the past, in the future, in the present. I really appreciate it. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.